You are now entering the spoiler zone. The following podcast contains explicit plot details and pockets of profanity. You have been warned.
The Exton Moss Experiment. Adventures in Wine and Space with Simon Exton and Ken Moss.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another edition of the Exton Moss Experiment. I'm Ken Moss, and in this episode, Simon and I pay a visit to Mount Peg Towers to record with the chaps from the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour. Due to gremlins in the works, the recording was originally thought to be unusable, but here now, 3 years later, with the magic of modern science and a large dollop of goodwill, are four middle-aged men on the Dungeons and Dragons ride, laughing uproariously at Mr. and Mrs. off of the telly. Run VT.
Exit! Stage left!
Are you all right? Hello and welcome to the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour. I'm Dr. Velvet.
I'm Blackout.
And we're here to view some valuable vintage videocasts from the 70s and 80s. Now and again, Blackout and I like to extend the hand of co-presentership, and two of the usual suspects we drag along for the ride are the perfect pairing of Ken Moss and Simon Exton from the Exton Moss Experiment podcast. Welcome, gentlemen. Are you all right?
Hello, we are indeed.
Hello, I'm grand, yes, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. We have, of course, recently visited the studios of the Exton Moss Experiment. I loved the Noel Gordon curtains, can I just say?
Well, I found them on the East of Bays, some genuine Crossroads curtains, and I thought, I'm having you. At the princely sum of £59, I thought, I really can't resist. So,
frankly, I could have resisted, but I was overruled.
Well, before we go out for the day and return in a bedraggled state several years later, gentlemen, I've got to ask, what are we drinking?
Well, if I might just peruse the drinks trolley, what is that at the back? It's a bottle of gin. Lone Wolf. Peach and passion fruit gin. I think I'll have a glass of that, please.
Simon.
I'll have a burning pear, please.
Give me a second, I'll get a match.
Yeah, I've got a bottle of Ukrainian vodka that's got pear and chili in it, and it's absolutely bloody lovely.
Has that got a bit of a kick to it, then?
It has a bit of a kick to it. It's got some sweetness from some honey. It is absolutely delicious.
Blackout, yourself?
I have got a bottle of Bear Island East Coast Pale Ale.
Have you been there?
Several times.
Nice.
What about yourself?
I'm consuming a drink which I'm told was literally on tap in the green room for presenters and contestants at Border Television. Yes, of course, I'm on vodka and creme de menthe. So, glasses in hand, gentlemen, our televisual quest continues as we join a group of young folk who, just like us, vintage TV podcasters, are on a journey fraught with peril, outrageous clothing and disappointment. The difference is, they're trying to find a way back home. Monday tea times were rather lovely back in the 80s when one heard the utterance of these words.
Hey, look! The Dungeons and Dragons ride! Wow, neat!
Give me a break.
I don't like this! Whoa!
What's happening?
Dungeons and Dragons was a half-hour cartoon series from Toei Animation, loosely based on TSR's massively popular role-playing game of the same name, which ran for 3 seasons and 27 episodes. After a fairground ride goes wrong and catapults them into a medieval-style parallel universe, 6 young protagonists must quest to find a way home, find who they're supposed to be, and just generally try and stay alive until they can achieve either. They do this under the guidance of the kindly but cryptic Dungeon Master and against the wishes of his nemesis, Venger. We've watched the very first episode, The Night of No Tomorrow, written by Marco Vanier, directed by John Gibbs and Bob Richardson. This one was first broadcast in the UK on Children's BBC, Monday the 10th of September 1984, in the 4:30 slot. The question, gentlemen, is were you watching?
I was.
I absolutely was. Yeah, there you go.
You didn't miss this.
Yep, agreed.
I didn't watch it. That was the year I took my O-levels, so I was a little busy with the whole revision thing.
This series will have begun around about a week after I started comprehensive school. Now, I was kind of a geeky kid, bit shy, so having a brand new thing to enjoy with the new friends I was making at that time was absolutely perfect.
Totally agree with that, because CBBC at the time, they'd undergone a little bit of a revamp and they were introducing a lot of new shows around about this time, and this was one of them. It felt like this was starting a new school, starting a new era in your life, and this just highlighted that. It was, yeah, I'm with you with that feeling completely.
This era of CBBC, when they did, like, as you said, started introducing some really good stuff. There was this, Cities of Gold, Ulysses 31, Thundercats. These are properly good, well-made animations. I know you're too old for this, Sam. Sam's shaking his head, but I've not seen this since transmission, and every single bit of it, it's like it was yesterday. The theme music, the incidental music, the quality of the animation. I have many things to say about it, not all complimentary, but, this was just a lovely little step back in time for me. Because I love all that Arthurian myth and magic sort of stuff. So this sung to me even then. And
right.
Despite faults, it is still something I was really, really enjoying when we did it for this.
Yeah, what I like is that we don't spend the entire first 22 minutes watching them get into this situation. It just sort of hits the ground running. The whole setup is done and dusted in 1 minute precisely. Situation
Absolutely.
And characters introduced very visually. It's beautiful.
The exposition's all in the title sequence, which is great. I absolutely hate pilots where we have to wade through the genesis of the characters, or I genuinely don't like it. I just like to get on with it, and we do that here. It did baffle me at the time because I wasn't used to it. I think this is one of the first times I'd ever experienced this, and I thought, yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah,
there's a thing where it sort of feels like you might have missed something, but you actually haven't, because that's just the opening every week. It's just as well, because after that title card, there will not be a single word as to why they're actually there. Are they being tested? Are they being punished? Is this a group hallucination after fumes from the cleaning cupboard got into the air conditioning in a children's ward? We're not going to find out.
I do love a pilot. Thundercats certainly had one. The real Ghostbusters had one, but it came halfway through the run. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that had one, and it just feels like a more rounded thing. You are absolutely right, Blackout. This thing hurls you in. So you've seen the opening titles. What more do you want? You've got the backstory. Paul Daniels has introduced these guys. He's given them all weapons. Right, off you go. There's a dragon. Yeah. Fight that. You coping with the dragon? Fine. There's a man in a cloud. Off you fuck.
Dungeon Master, he is a prick, isn't he? 6 children, they turn up out of nowhere. They're alone, they're afraid, unable to act their way out of a paper pantomime. And he just appears on a semi-regular basis with, here, go there and risk your lives and sanity for a world in which you have absolutely no stake. Bye.
Oozing smugness at the same time.
Yes.
In exactly the same way that Gandalf and Cole Hawkins will just turn up, have the ability to solve every problem with a snap of their fingers, don't bother doing it, give the vaguest of unhelpful clues, and then fuck off again and turn up at the end when they've somehow managed to muddle their way through.
Particularly as he rocks up here for the first time that we see with this.
There you may find something that will help you get back home.
You won't, mate. This is the first episode. It's going to be a pretty short season if this plan of his works out.
I went into this slightly blinkered, knowing full well, from dredging up the memories of time, that all the kids were going to piss me off. And all the kids piss me off. They're all whiny American brats. The only vaguely likeable stroke competent one is Diana. And she doesn't get a lot to do.
Yeah.
On the subject of them getting home, it would have been wildly entertaining if they'd got home in the first episode, but still kept their personality and powers from the Dungeons and Dragons realm. So they were going through 1980s Earth as a berserker and a unicorn and all the rest of the crap. That would have been wildly entertaining.
Yeah. And the young boy endlessly groping a unicorn's arse. Every opportunity that Bobby gets, he feels up Uni's arse.
Doesn't he, though? That's Bobby. He annoyed me. He really annoyed me. I didn't mind Eric the Cavalier, voiced by Donny Most.
Oh, God, no. He was awful.
No, voiced by Donny Most, who played Ralph the Mouth in Happy Days. He's the ginger one from Happy Days, and I kind of have a thing for Happy Days. I like Happy Days. Yeah, his character's a bit whiny. However, as the series gets on, he does learn a few life lessons. The annoying factor for me, of course it's Uni. Of course it is, because it's Godzuki again.
Here we go. There's the Scrappy-Doo, the Slimer, the Orko, the Snarf. I don't know why they used to drop these in, because even as a kid, it used to piss me off. There's just this superfluous character.
Yeah.
What is the point of it? And voiced by
Absolutely
Frank Weller, who, thank you Wikipedia, the third highest grossing actor of all time.
That's right. The voice of Freddy from Scooby-Doo is this uni character. Absolutely. Yes, you're right.
It's very, very similar to Slimer from Real Ghostbusters.
Because he does the voice for Slimer.
He does. The voice acting in this. Peter Cullen's in it. Peter fucking Cullen.
Yeah.
Car.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I don't appreciate these things when you're a kid, but Car is Venger. And he's got this magnificent 80-a-day voice.
Beware what you say when you speak of magic, wizard, or you shall see who has the greater power.
Oh, yeah, that was marvellous.
Yes, he has, mate. It's a voice of whiskey and tabs.
In a working men's club where you can't even see through the smoke to the brown ceiling.
Yes. The uni voice, back in the day, about 1983, I could do the sound effect for the Automan car. See previous episode. Mm-hmm. I could also do an impression of uni. You know when I don't even know how I knew I could do that, but I give it a go. Yeah. And it was as annoying then as it is now. So, yeah, you go.
Well, one thing I'm going to pick up on, and I'm sure one of you has got to have done this in your notes, the music. Cartoons of this era had music that really should have... I mean, my personal one is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would love a commercial release of the soundtrack of that. All the incidental background music, it's just sublime. And this I can hear even now from my childhood. All the music cues, all the stings that I remember from 40 years ago, there they are writ large, and they're still as glorious now.
For me, it wasn't so much the opening or the incidental, but the closing theme is what I can only describe as a Proustian sledgehammer.
The incidental music is cinematic and in parts has a flavour of John Williams about it.
Yeah.
But I will say this, though, and investigation will prove me right. There was a Marvel series called The Incredible Hulk around about the same time as this. There are some stings borrowed from there.
Oh, okay. Do you think they're both using library music?
They were made for The Incredible Hulk. And I believe it was Eric Rogers who did those. But for snatches of certain parts of tension and certain scenes, they slip those in.
Okay.
One of them is this. But the rest of it, when it's composed for this particular car, is wonderful. It's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
There is one bit of Foley work which stood out to me, and I don't know whether any of you picked up on it. When they're in Merlin's castle and they're fighting Tiamat, she's bouncing around on that pole thing. When she lands, it is the traditional sound effect for somebody being knocked unconscious.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Punch to the ground sound effect rather than young athlete landing. I'm hot on Foley because there's a lot of very familiar sound effects in this. Even in the opening credits when they're hurled through the portal, that little sound effect. How many times have we heard that in a cartoon? They're brilliant.
Totally agree.
When Sheila is the invisible woman and she puts her hood up, there's a little sound, and that was also used in the Fantastic Four cartoon when Sue Richards turned herself invisible.
Mind, speaking of her, we've got your characters, right? Ranger, Cavalier, Acrobat, Barbarian, and Magician. Now, these are all well-defined medieval gaming archetypes. They instantly convey to the viewer their chief abilities and characteristics. And they're joined by Thief. Well, that's charming, isn't it? Thief. We haven't called her Stealth, Cunning, Guile, just someone who has a track record of not being able to be trusted.
Yes.
They might as well have just called her Burglar. Basically, they wake up in the morning in their cave or something. Sheila's gone, so was the video and the holiday club money.
Those are all D&D character classes, and Thief was a D&D character class. Now, originally, well, it wasn't one of the original ones. It came along in Unearthed Arcana, which is still early D&D. The character class was Thief Acrobat. So what they've done is they've split out that character class into the two bits of it.
That's fair for a role-playing game, but the role-playing, like actual Dungeons & Dragons, tended to be played by older kids, not for the audience of this cartoon. This is the weird thing. These characters, the specific named characters, weren't really anything to do with the role-playing game. They just made them up. And that's fine. That's what role-playing is for, like when everyone is doing it. But a year earlier as well, LJN Toys, they got the license for a range of Dungeons & Dragons action figures. And they were nothing to do with the cartoon, and pretty much nothing to do with the game either. It feels like no one's in charge of the brand in here.
Yeah, absolutely. I had the figure of the knight out of that range.
Right.
And yeah, he had nothing to do with anything whatsoever. Yeah.
In fairness, though, LJN were notoriously bad for their tie-in merchandise. Every single video game that they ever made, which was always a tie-in to a film or a series, it was monumentally awful. I think the worst of all is Back to the Future. It had absolutely nothing to do with the film at all. It wasn't E.T. bad. It wasn't buried in the desert.
It's oddly enough, there were some figures made of this cartoon around about 1986, but they're PVC and they're fixed pose, so they're no good for actually playing with. But again, that goes back to the E.T. merchandise, where you can have an E.T. who doesn't really move. It's just him in a variety of costumes. Fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's currently a set of 6 Dungeons & Dragons figures on sale on eBay for about £400. So,
I'll cut you a check.
Yeah.
I will say this. I would pay that for Venger's frock. Woo! Come on.
But he's only got half a hat.
There's got to be a seamstress out there that can do this for you. Probably for less than £400.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Absolutely splendid. Venger is some creation. Some creation.
Just momentarily spiralling back to the continuity of this thing, I was really quite confused by it, because the episode opens up and it's almost as if they've been launched in. It's a continuation of the title sequence. But further in the episode, there are a couple of points. They state that they're always taking the piss out of Presto for his magic not doing what it should do, which implies that there's been quite a few adventures up until this point. And then later on, they make mention of the fact that the only thing Venger's afraid of is Tiamat. Well, how do you know that? You've only just met Tiamat. So I'm not entirely sure where this is supposed to slot into the timeline. It feels like a first episode, but not like a first episode.
No, I think they've been there a while.
That's what I quite like about it, yeah. It's like they drop in little references to what they were doing back home. The writers know it's the first episode. But yeah, you do get the impression they've been here a while, they've bedded in. They haven't mastered their powers yet. That's possibly part of why they're there. But yeah, this hasn't happened 20 minutes after they've landed. I quite like that.
And incredibly, not a single one of them has picked up Paul Daniels and launched him over the nearest mountain for being an annoying twat.
Because the whole thing about, look out for him in his new guise with white hair. If they'd said, look out for him in his new guise with a white rabbit.
I'm delighted that we've all got notes about this. We haven't really touched on much of the plot so far. Paul Daniels sends him off to find Merlin. Bear in mind, Dungeon Master can do magic. Presto can do magic. So obviously he's talking, he's going, you need to go and find this other bloke who can do magic because of some dragons that might or might not come back. We haven't decided yet. Right, okay. They find Merlin in his castle. Merlin has effectively gaslit the wizard kid with the glasses into staying in his castle with him forever. Mm-hmm. And then it turns out that Merlin is in fact Super Arsehole Venger. Dungeon Master knew this was going to happen, remember? Because 4 minutes in, he was like...
Now, on your way, you must fear only the many faces of evil, all known as Venger. You shall know his newest face by his white hair. Beware, young adventurers.
So when they meet Merlin, literally 3.5 minutes later, and they go...
Look, he has white hair.
But it's not because he's wearing some kind of furry hairpiece attached to his wizard's hat. Not a euphemism.
Would that I did, young lady. I am a great magician, but the one thing I cannot do is grow hair.
So that's all right, isn't it? Until...
Oh, Merlin, here's your rabbit.
Thank you, my child. But it's not a rabbit, it's a hare. A white hare.
None of them have clocked anything wrong at this point. Jesus H. Merlin could only be more suspicious if he tried to show them some puppies in a van.
Fact.
I love that they have the temerity to then explain this 5 minutes later, as if we hadn't noticed.
We're all screaming at the screen at this point, aren't we?
Blue in the mouth.
And it's amazing that they're surprised that their kiddie magician decides to leave them when they've just been twats to him right the way through. Incredibly supportive of the Berserker kid fucking things up.
Exactly.
He materialises a cow, which, OK, wasn't really what he was after, but it's still no mean feat.
Is this part of their lesson for the episode, though, where it's like, look after the geek one, he's going to get you out of the shit later?
I seem to remember they do carry on. Presto gets a piss taken out of him a lot because he's just shit at magic. I do remember one, though. I mean, maybe one of you guys can remember. There's one where they do actually find a way home, but Eric's been transformed into some sort of mutant. So they refuse to leave him behind.
Although the series was cancelled before they finally made it home, if memory serves, there were several episodes where they thought they'd found Earth again. Each time it turned out to be some sort of trick from Venger, like an illusion.
Agreed.
You think they'd have known something was up when they re-emerged in the fairground and every other person there was Mr. T. Mr. T! This happened 3 times.
It was Mr. T?
Mr. T! It was Mr. T.
Mr. T! Mr. T, you say?
Mr. T! Yeah, they couldn't get the licensing to use the name B.A. Baracus, so they just had to go with Mr. T. Mr. T! That is everybody except for the 4 of us who has now switched the episode off.
Yes, yes.
But yeah, there has actually been a fan-made finale for this, where they do get home. I haven't watched it, but I think they made it, I think it was about 2020. They finally got around to knocking one together.
It was, and it is absolutely beautiful.
It is. I only discovered this a few days ago when I was prepping for this podcast. The script had actually been written for Requiem way back in the 80s. It was actually done and dusted, so this is not a fan script. But it's a fucking marvellous end to the series. Why they didn't do it, I don't know. It would have been brilliant.
Hang on a minute, let me just segue a second. You were prepping for this podcast because you turned up here on Friday not having watched a bastard thing that we're planning to talk about.
Well, no, what happened is I decided to...
And as of this morning, hadn't watched a single thing that we're planning to talk about.
You see, I tend to do the reading first and then watch the episode that's half an hour long with about 12 minutes to go. That's my level of optimism, that I can watch half an hour of TV in 10 minutes.
Yeah, you see, you'll convince these two of this. I know.
You know how terrible and awful I am at this. I'm never prepped. But I did actually...
I know perfectly well that you turned up on Friday not having watched a single thing we planned to talk about, including the tie-in we did yesterday.
This is all true. I cannot deny this. But I decided that Thursday night, after I'd hosted a quiz night, would be the ideal time to start watching Dungeons and Dragons. And I got about 3 minutes in and fell asleep. But during that time, because my attention span is like a wasp in a jar, I was Wikipediaing when I was watching the episode, and then, I'll just pause that episode and watch a bit of Requiem, and I was gripped. I was absolutely gripped. I thought that as an ending, I don't know whether to spoil this or not, but the ending is just perfect. It fits in completely with the whole feel of the series.
Do they kill them all?
Unfortunately not, no.
It doesn't.
True. Right, spoiler alert, kids. Presto stays behind to learn proper magic. Everybody else fucks off home. And are probably relieved to see the back of him.
Is it that they get home and everyone in the real world is dead because they failed in their actual mission? And now they have to live with the consequences of that, because that's life. That's the lesson for this final episode. Life will fuck you up. Everybody dies. The end.
Do, 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 do.
Yes, Venger is revealed to be Paul Daniels' son. He's redeemed at the end, and they all live happily ever after together, a trio of men. Oh yes, and Presto gets an impossibly hot red-headed girl.
I think these days they call that a throuple.
Did anybody have any thoughts on the absolutely clunky animation style?
I didn't mind it.
I loved it.
You got to bear in mind the studio is... They're churning them out, mate. It's, I'm absolutely fine with it. 1980s animation rarely looks as good as you remember it, so as long as the story's told well, I can put up with the rest, that's fine.
You want to see bad animation? Look at Lassie's Rescue Rangers.
Oh, shit.
It's not good.
So back in the plot, which we have largely ignored, actual Merlin's spell, because Merlin wasn't really Merlin, it's Venger, we covered that. Actual Merlin's spell has been undone by Presto. Dragons invade the town of Helix. The kids fuck off back to the castle to try and fix the situation, coincidentally miles away from where all the civilians are now dying through no fault of their own. It escalates quite quickly, doesn't it? There's a lot of civilian death in this episode.
There really is, and one of the people in the village, has the exact same voice as Dungeon Master.
There we go.
No effort made whatsoever there.
I honestly thought that was going to turn out to be another one of Dungeon Master's twatty disguises.
Yeah. I mean, it is the village of the Munchkins, because they're all tiny.
Again, it's not helping to conceal that one of them isn't really Dungeon Master. They might all be Dungeon Master, because he's that much of an arsehole. He probably did do that. There's not actually many characters that you wouldn't happily see incinerated into a ball of ash by Tiamat. There's very few characters that they meet that are likeable.
Speaking of Tiamat, they are getting their money's worth out of that dragon, aren't they? Every 3 minutes he turns up.
Well, I'll tell you something about Tiamat. Tiamat used to terrify me. I was terrified of Tiamat.
They ripped things from loads of different mythologies, because Tiamat was Babylonian and Merlin wasn't.
Ken, Simon's been researching again. He's brought facts and knowledge. Did we book this? Sorry, go on.
I'm going to throw this out there to you, gentlemen. If I said Flight of Dragons, would any of you remember this?
I loved Flight of Dragons. Loved it.
That had a multi-headed dragon in it as well.
It did.
Yeah.
And a game.
Oh, okay.
Flight of Dragons.
I have no memory of this.
It's one of those things that it's never been released commercially. It's not been repeated.
It has.
Has it?
Yeah.
Oh, because for years it was unavailable.
We used to have it on VHS when I was a kid.
Oh, it was one of those things that people used to scream for because it was never repeated. I saw it once at Easter, and it was absolutely magical. Even in my head now, I can still...
I mean, it's a film, not a TV series.
It is, it's a one-off, but no, that is proper Arthurian. Oh, it's great.
It might actually be in that big box of old VHS in the corner that I keep meaning to get around to convert at some point.
There's just one thing I've got left in my notes, and that's Presto, who's given this absolutely monumental opportunity to be Merlin's assistant.
Yeah.
Now, we've covered this ground in another podcast that we've done today on Robert Baldick for the Extremos experiment, but he's told explicitly, he's given an instruction explicitly 4 seconds after he's given the instruction, I'll just ignore that completely and start mixing my own potions. What the hell?
No, that's just the Sorcerer's Apprentice stuff coming in. It's fine, though. This is the first episode. They've got to build the characters, and if they don't fail, they can't get better. So, I'm kind of fine with that. Apart from Bobby, I just kick him down a well and leave him there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of the 6, the Acrobat was the only one that I had any time for at all. Junior He-Man didn't seem to do anything. The Cavalier was just a whiny bitch. The Thief, okay, she seemed vaguely
He's
useful.
my little brother.
Yeah.
Forgive my little brother. He's just my little brother. He's just a child. Yeah.
He needed a lot of slaps.
Well, Junior He-Man is, despite what we said about Junior He-Man is basically Scrappy-Doo, isn't he? Just running and causing trouble, leaving everyone else to clean it up.
Oh, no, by Junior He-Man, I meant the one with
Hank.
the blondie He-Man type hair and...
Ah, right, that one. Right.
The background one that you completely ignore because he does nothing. Little Berserker Blackie just needed a slap. The unicorn needed turning into steaks.
But again, again, Ranger, in terms of like horror movie tropes, he's the jock. He doesn't need a personality. That's fine.
That's right. I was waiting for him to burst into Backstreet's Back.
They're the handsome ones that nobody actually likes. And the rest of the cast, you just think you're awful.
They've been abandoned in a different dimension for a reason, yes.
Can you imagine that group of people?
They're the B-Arc.
They are the B-Arc, yes.
Fair. So we get to the end. Specky's learned his lesson, has to eat an entire humble pie to himself. We get the moral of the story spelled out to him and to us, and then we end on a light joke. Textbook 1980s adventure cartoon.
Presto, would you produce something for Eric to ride on?
Sure.
Oh my god, yes. I wet my knickers at that joke as well. Ha 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 ha. Pricks. And there we are. We're at the end of Dungeons and Dragons. They didn't get home. But that brings us to the end of our thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons. Let's just see if we can have some final thoughts on the episode as a whole. Mr. Moss.
It was a lovely trip down memory lane. Pegs on the line? 7. It was very nice. It's not without its flaws. I think watching it now, I would get quite pissed off quite quickly. But I loved cartoons of this ilk. Yeah, it's 7 out of 9. It was a lovely reminiscence.
That's nice. 7 pegs is all right. That's very good. Simon, how many pegs are you going to place on Tiamat's tits?
This may well have been a lovely trip down memory lane, but it wasn't my memories. I was kind of bored by this. There was only one character that I found particularly likeable. The Dungeon Master I found immensely slappable. I wasn't wild keen on this. 3.
Oh, this just in. We've just got a text in from writer Mark Evanier. He's just said he's apologising that his cartoon wasn't as interesting as Revision. I jest, of course.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Oh, Blackout.
Looking at it now, this is not the strongest of starts to a long-running cartoon I would go on to love. Its problems and hurdles are apparent from the outset, but so is the simplicity of its mission. This series was not created to sell a toy line. It was only there to entertain and to try and teach kids a bit of self-awareness. It's a gold-plated example of its genre. 7 out of 9.
Another 7. Very good.
What about yourself, Dr. Velvet? You want to pour some petrol on it?
Do you know what? I actually don't. This is packed to the knockers with action and decent characters for the target demographic. It's a 20-minute romp despite the lackluster animation. And Venger's Frock is the envy of every fantasy fan that picked up a 12-sided dice. 7 pegs. But the question on everybody's mind that have been hurtled through a portal and find themselves in some desolate wilderness is, how many steps, Blackout, would it take you to put a thief's cloak on and clatter up the mountain?
I'm ready for my quest. I can do it in 4. In Dungeons & Dragons, Eric the Cavalier is voiced by Don Most, perhaps more famous as the face of Ralph Malph in Happy Days, where he appeared opposite Tom Bosley, who investigated as Father Dowling at one point next to Fionnuala Flanagan, who was one of the others in the company of Eric Sykes, who was in One Way Pendulum with Peggy Mount.
All right. Which one of you two had a bath this morning?
Very good. Very good. Very good. Mr. Moss, what about yourself?
Well, I can wave my wand with the best of them. I shall magic myself up the mountain in 3. Dungeon Master is brought to life through the vocal tones of Sidney Miller, who utilised his pipes in the 1997 animated version of A Christmas Carol, as did Tim Curry, who appeared in The Hunt for Red October, next to Joss Ackland, who lent his gravelly tones to 1991's The Princess and the Goblin with Peggy Mount.
I want a straight answer to a straight question.
Wonderful.
There you go.
An extra point for the Cloister Bell there. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Velvet, what about yourself?
Well, I'm afraid I'm taking a step back and I'll do it in 4. Okay, Presto the Magician is voiced here by Adam Rich, who had appeared in the 1977 Christmas special of The $6 Million Man, along with Ray Popeye Walston, who starred in the 1992 adaptation of Mice and Men, next to John Malkovich, who was in Colour Me Kubrick, as well as William Hootkins, who was the Monsoon Man himself in A Strand of the Tomorrow People, with
Well, there's nothing one can do unless you'd like to sit on my bed and have a shower.
Bravo! Which leaves only the venerable Dr. Exton. Would you care to join us, sir?
I can, and I can join you leaping up the mountain in 3 alongside Presto's Magic Cow. Hank the Ranger had his shouting provided by Willie Eames, who also appeared in 1984's Killing Machine with Lee Van Cleef, who that very year starred in Codename Wild Geese, next to Lewis Collins, who shone with the straightest of faces in 1980's Night of 100 Stars, with Peggy Mount.
What about my poor wet elephant?
A clatter worthy of Peggy herself. Magnificent work.
Absolutely. And I'd like some of those scrambled eggs when they're finished being prepared. That'd be great. Oh, thank you for that, gentlemen. It is time for the break. But before that, here's the first of today's questions for this series competition. In this episode of Dungeons and Dragons, what colour are Merlin's eyes? Intriguing. And now it's time to look at the things.
It's Eddie Kidd's stunt bike, but it's up to you to clear the obstacles. You increase the revs for the run-up, one eye on the clock, and judge the ideal moment for takeoff. Well, we can't all be Eddie Kidd. Or what about Formula One? You can join in the thrills and spills with Demon Driver, steer past slower cars in a race against time. But watch out, even Demon Drivers lose control. Eddie Kidd Stunt Bike and Demon Driver from Palatoy.
It's a race to make a face when you play Mr. Pop. It's not hard. Pick a card and set the clock. Find the nose, in it goes, and the hair, it's in there. But beware, should you stop, Mr. Pop goes pop. Mr. Pop has lots of different faces. More fun, more action. From Action GT.
Here we are at the Subbuteo Stadium. Here come the teams. It's England versus Brazil. England kick off. A beautiful ball, and there's a quick breakaway. Oh, good play. England shoot. What a save, and it's a corner. England take the kick. It's pushed away. It's a goal. So it's 1-0 to England.
Play the world's greatest sport with Subbuteo.
Ah, the wonderful things. How we enjoy the wonderful things. Go out and buy the things. Do yourself a favour. Anyway, onwards. This is the second of today's gems, chaps, and I'll sum up what we're about to watch in 2 words, one of which is hyphenated. Fucking mind-blowing.
Mr. and Mrs. Be nice to each other. Mr. and Mrs. You gotta love one another.
Mr. and Mrs. was a half-hour game show beginning in the UK in 1964, being simultaneously produced and transmitted by various ITV regions until 1976, when the Derek Bassey-fronted Border television version gained supremacy and became the all-familiar benchmark. The gameplay pits 3 couples against each other as each pair has to match their partner's questions about their domestic lives while they sit in a soundproof prison cell. Intimacy and embarrassment collide under the watchful eye of Bassey and his assistant Susan Cuff. Comedy and entertainment ensue as a result. We've watched an episode from the 1979 run where the contestants get £10 for every correct answer, and if they blag all 6 questions, they'll walk away with a cool £1,000.
Mr. and Mrs. Be nice to each other. Be nice to each other. Mr. and Mrs.
This is from the time that I would have watched it with me grandma. She loved this. And there were times when I would be whisked off to grandma's while mum and dad were out, kind of thing, and it was on during the afternoon, during the week, when I would have been 6 when this was on. I used to watch it with her, and I used to love it, and I still do. Does anyone else remember it from back in the day around this time?
I was 1 when this was on, so no, I don't remember it. Dr. Exton?
I do remember it. Again, I remember watching it with my grandmother. Now, my grandmother loved science fiction. She introduced me to Space 1999 and UFO and Doctor Who and all that fantastic stuff. And she also made me sit through shit like this as well.
I was going to say, did she introduce you to all that and go, and here, by the way, is the most fucking unbelievable thing you'll see this week?
Right. Right.
It used to be on in our house, my mum and dad's house, not my grandma and granddad's house. I have memories of watching it, and it was fine. It clearly felt like it was aimed at an older audience.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, again, I was a very small child at the time, but I used to watch a lot of their programmes anyway. This definitely felt like it wasn't taking into account a young viewership. But I didn't hate it, so...
The first thing we see after the titles, the music, by the way, Tony Hatch, Jackie Trent, fine. It's good. It's nice. Released as a single.
Iconic.
Absolutely. Absolutely iconic. The first thing we see, really, is the set. And the set is like a cross between Liberace's Shithouse and The Last Days of Caligula. This is absolutely fucking incredible, this. Border Television have gone apeshit with this.
Oh, it's so empty. I mean, this is very, very much television of its time. The first thing that struck me...
Oh, that's the ambience, though, isn't it? It's the sound in the room. The audience sounds like it's made up of 6 people. They've had to turn up the gain so loud that the applause sounds fine until the 2 people stop clapping, then it's just silence.
There's no incidental music. There aren't even any musical stings between contestants. It's just flat for half an hour. The one redeeming feature is Derek Beatty's voice, which is like warm buttered crumpets on a cold winter's day.
After drying his hands on a towel, does your husband fold the towel neatly and put it over the rail? Does he throw it over the rail any old way? Or does he just put it down on anything that's handy?
Sir Derek of Beatty. Absolutely.
Do we all like his voice?
I do. I love it.
I liked his voice. I didn't particularly like what he was saying a lot of the time. He was an absolute patronising arse to the pregnant woman.
Yeah. I'm loving that Beatty is from Carlisle.
Beatty's from Carlisle?
Well, that's where Border was based.
Yeah, I love that Beatty's from Carlisle, so he's had to soften his accent a bit to get on in television. But then he's talking to Scott and Wilma from just over the border in Scotland, so his accent does this weird sort of 3-point turn to try and relate to them, and he ends up sounding Welsh instead.
Now, that is entirely my mistake, so he's not actually Welsh, he just sounded it.
There we go.
Do I feel like a dick?
Well, you can tell later when he's speaking to the couple from Gateshead. Let's not try and get too far ahead. But he's speaking to a couple from Gateshead, and then he sounds like an extra from Biker Grove.
He does. Yes, he does.
But his demeanour is warm and it is lovely, and you would sit down and have a nice couple of custard creams and a cup of tea with him, wouldn't you? Derek Beatty, what a man. Wilma, on the other hand, she's turned up at a 90.
Yes.
And she's a breeder, apparently.
Yes, she breeds ponies and dogs.
With a grand total of 2 dogs.
It is entirely coincidental that, as noted, she's also pregnant at the moment.
God only knows what their house smells like. They've got a Cocker Spaniel and a Golden Retriever. She's pregnant and he can't fight in arguments, so it doesn't bode well for their home life at all.
The house smells of sex and dog shit.
Well, I don't know. I get the impression that Scott doesn't spend a lot of time there because he works for the Ordnance Survey and he goes hill walking in his spare time. Anything to keep him out the house.
Yep.
Even Derek's just like, that's what you do for your job, though, isn't it? And he's like, yep. Anything to get me out, Derek.
Anything to get me out of that pungent fucking odour from my living room.
And they had the question, who backs down from an argument? Well, it's not like everybody couldn't see that one coming.
He's shagging Connie from 2 couples down the line because she comes on screen clearly terrified that she's going to get found out that she's been having an affair for the past 30 years.
Connie, is that the one from Gateshead who has never seen the sun?
Yeah.
We may be galloping ahead here, but yes.
I'm going to rewind to the first kind of little question with Wilma and Scott. I've never known anybody who can inject a sense of intrigue about salad like Derek Beatty does.
Bingo, there he goes. My first note is the inane questions about food.
Oh, we've all got this as well, have we? Excellent. Fantastic work. Well done, gentlemen. What kind of leaves from the lettuce does Wilma prefer if she's having a salad? You know, I love that Beatty asks each question 3 times in one sentence. How does Scott like the butter on his bread if he happens to be having some bread or some toast, maybe with some cheese? Is this the most spirit-crushingly banal depiction of marriage ever to be broadcast on television?
Literally, when Derek Beatty said, how thick does he spread his butter, I shouted, fuck me cockeyed at the telly. Because I've never heard the like of this before. This is incredible.
She goes, that's how he spreads it, yes. That's what he shouts.
If they did actually deign to remake this in the 21st century, it would be quite different, wouldn't it? I mean, how much whipped cream does she like sprayed on her nipples? How much cocaine does she like sniffed off her arsehole? It would be a little bit ramped up compared with the tedium.
They've done celebrity versions more recently, but I've never seen any of them. But yeah, I can imagine it would be a lot more sort of Saturday.
Oh, it is.
A lot more Saturday night. This is very much Sunday afternoon.
Clearly, all of the couples have gone in saying, if there's any question where there's middle ground, go for the middle ground.
Yes.
Do you like the inner leaves of the lettuce or the outer leaves of the lettuce or a mixture? Oh, she'll like a mixture. Yeah, definitely like a mixture. So any of the three couples that had any question that was, you can go for a middle ground option, that's what they went for.
And none of you sat here thinking the complete insanity that four middle-aged men are sat 43 years after this was transmitted discussing fucking lettuce leaves.
Yeah. Absolutely fucking genius observation though, Simon. Because, you would think they'd confer beforehand and go, just go for B on every question. That way, we'll win the money, right? This explains why when Derek is reading out the questions to get the answers the second time, he sort of shuffles up the order of the answers. So
yes,
you can't automatically go for the middle one. You're like, oh, there was clearly fucking hell on here. Too many people walked away with $1,000, and Beatty's like, I'm fucking onto you. He's doing the eye finger motion. He's like, I'm fucking watching you lots. No conferring.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Because this game show was conceived by Derek Beatty. It's his invention.
We definitely get that impression, yes.
And he's the producer as well.
But it was a redo of a Canadian game show originally.
Yes.
Oh! Why have I suddenly turned to Paul Daniels?
I don't think he came up with the actual concept. He just made this horrific version his own.
I was led to believe the other way.
He made it to the point where the Canadians would then disown it so he could get more money. So anyway, Scott and Wilma, they don't get all six right, and they leave their section of the show with £90 and a carriage clock. That's not too shabby for 6 minutes work. It's all right, isn't it?
True, she'll be straight out on the piss.
Next up, she'll be buying him a new harness.
Absolutely.
God almighty.
Absolutely.
God almighty. Next up, we get Alan and Connie from home in Cumbria.
Yes.
They play bridge, and he, and I quote,
swingers,
works in an office, and he goes fell walking. Where do they find it? He's another one. He does not want to spend time at home, but all he'll say about his work is, I work in an office. What do you do? I can't tell you.
This is how you tell that Derek Beatty is an utter professional, because he says to them, you're looking very well, with an absolute straight face, when they both look like extras from The Walking Dead.
This is that thing when you're saying about having like the warm voice. Beatty speaks to everyone like they're a resident at a care home. Now, it was bad enough with Scott and Wilma, but Alan and Connie are both older than him. He's basically offering them a Werther's original and a sit down with the people's friend. It's excruciating.
And the fella that turns up, has he still got a coat hanger in his suit?
Yes. Yes, he has.
Yes, he really has.
Well, it's the same suit that in between couples he passes on to Les in the third couple, because all the men are sharing the same suit and the same tie made out of an old tablecloth.
We're going to get on to Les.
All in good time.
But I think there's a clue in what this fella does, because when there's the question about his wallet, she turns around and asks, do you mean his normal wallet? Which means that he has other wallets. Yes. And who do we know who have different wallets? Yeah. Spies with alternative identities.
Nice.
Yes.
This was about the point where I wrote in my notes, how much more of this do I have to sit through?
Yeah, he wasn't impressed by this point. We were constantly looking at the scroll bar. How much of this is there? Yeah, we're 11 minutes in.
I felt a little bit of that, if I'm honest, when they were talking about whether he's tried jogging or not.
Well, no, because again, she's thinking like, well, he doesn't jog. But one of his other personas does jog very keenly. What am I supposed to say here? I'm going to drop him in the shit if I say, yeah. But yeah, we zip in and out of an ad break there. It turns out there is a Mr. and Mrs. book out at this point, and it's priced at 75 pence. Written by Derek Beatty, as we've heard. Yeah. I want you to bear in mind that in 1979, a pint of beer cost 35p. But how much does the book's princely cover price, 75 pence, convert to in today's money? Is it A, £1.80, B, £2.99, or C, £4.50?
£4.50. I'm surprised that it's as low as £4.50, but I'm going to go with
Any more from you, gentlemen?
Too much. House space is too much to pay for this.
No, not how much would you pay. It's just like, if you were to translate that into today's money.
I'm going to say £4.50.
Okay, the correct answer is B. That book is $2.99 in 2021 prices, as per the Bank of England.
Fucking hell.
The problem is, this made me realise that in 1979, the book was about the same as 2 pints at the bar, whereas now, you'd only be able to buy a half for that. It's fucking outrageous, and I wish I hadn't looked it up.
Oh, are we not going to talk about the adverts? because they're much more entertaining than Mr. and Mrs. The cleaning spray thing.
New Shout Soil and Stain Remover penetrates even the toughest greasy stains and grime. No soaking, no scrubbing. Just spray and wash. See? Cleaner than washing powder alone.
So keep some shout about and shout it out. Shout it out.
Shout!
How filthy is that bloke's neck?
He's sitting in the front of his car, rubbing his collar, basically like he's about to get caught out for dogging.
But it's black. It's absolutely black. Does the man never wash?
That was adverts at the time, though, wasn't it? They had an insane idea of how filthy your clothes would be when you finally put them into the laundry.
I remember one for Biotex, and we were all out there smearing them with oil, blood, and egg. But Biotex would fettle that.
This just sounds like a day in the studio.
Well, we have an advert in the sauna for Carling Black Label.
Warm enough for you, Sid?
When you're shaping up to a thirst,
You're done.
Carling, thirst-shattering flavour.
I don't know whether any of you have sampled Carling recently. They dropped the Black Label some time ago.
Not recently.
It's utter piss. There's nothing refreshing about this, and there's probably more alcohol in tap water than a pint of that.
Yes.
Oh my, they don't make adverts like that anymore, do they? But the jingles, boys and girls.
They don't.
And on the subject of things that they wouldn't make anymore, omelette mate.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like vomit in a can.
Just add to the eggs, whisk, cook, and it's ready. Campbell's new omelette made in 3 varieties: mushroom, tomato, bacon and ham, and Spanish, for great omelettes without tears.
Tastes delicious, too.
And that same appeal that Toasty Toppers used to. It's just like opening a can of sick.
The TV lineup for the Sunday night, starting off with BJ and the Bear. Now, can you imagine a TV programme being given that name now?
Quite a different thing.
It would be late night on HBO. Very, very different story.
There isn't a slot late enough, is there? It'd have to be on breakfast television.
I don't know, they've made Dante's Code.
Dragging us by our fingernails back to Winnie and Les, who are our third couple. I feel I need to rescue this.
Okay, fair enough.
I spat my drink all over the TV here because Winnie, bless her, she doesn't know whether to get off the step or not.
I know, she starts doing the hokey-cokey on the stairs because there's absolutely there's no stage management.
First note.
Listener, you must, if you don't look at this broadcast at all at any point, you just tune in to this moment just after the commercials for Winnie and Ken and look at Winnie's hokey-cokey dance on the steps.
Hey, good Lord.
Where was the stage manager at this point? Where was the producer saying, we'll do that again?
Well, operating the camera?
Derek Beatty was the producer, so he was a bit busy.
Ah, yes. And Susan Cuff was doing her hair. So, yeah, they were fucked, really. But we'll have another go at that, lads. Get it right, lass. There's a bag of chips in it for you.
And good Lord, we finally meet Les now.
Yeah, Les. He's a warehouseman.
Oh, he's a card, isn't he?
The inseminoid. Constantly impregnating this 5-foot woman.
He's got pens in his breast pocket in case he needs to check things.
He gives Beatty that wink when he says he's an amateur photographer. I think we all know what that means in the late 1970s. And then when Beatty's like, your wife's short? You know, exactly the kind of thing you'd say when you first meet someone. He just sort of, again, does another little wink. He's like, good stuff in little bundles away.
But she is clearly absolutely terrified. She's just got this rictus grin. All the way through, she's got a voice that is certainly in the lower single figures of decibel range, and she just looks like he has coerced her to come on this show to win 50 quid. You will do what I say, woman, otherwise I will stamp on you.
Be nice to each other.
It is a window back in time to how life used to be, and I'm glad we're not there anymore.
So at the start, Scott and Wilma have left with £90 and a clock. Then Alan and Connie have left with £100 and a clock. Les and Winnie, they get £90 and a clock. I think at this point, they've broken out the Lambrini in the production office, because it means they haven't had to let loose the grand. What happens if the first couple wins the grand? Does Beatty turn around and he's like, there's now left in the pot for the rest of you lot. Now sling your hook and fuck off home.
I like the way the curtain goes back and he'll go, yeah, we're just checking. The £1,000 is still there. What? What does pulling this curtain back signify? What does that have to do with anything?
Well, in case the curtain comes back, instead of £1,000, it just says, gone.
Frig all.
Yeah.
In big letters.
Sheila the thief has magicked in and taken it. It's not just that Susan spent it down the working men's club.
There's just a stop-motion graphic of Derek Beatty giving the middle finger.
Yeah.
We have missed out the star of the show. We haven't discussed her yet. Susan Cuff.
Bless her.
Recently returned from America with a suntan.
Yes,
absolutely.
If that's what a suntan looks like these days.
He points out by staring straight at her tits.
Didn't he, though? I noticed that.
Well, he's happy to do that, but he also doesn't want to give her any more spotlight. Because, again, at this point, she's the only one, at least half of the audience are looking at any point anyway. And he goes like, "You've got a tan?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've been to America." And he's like, "Right, we're not going to talk about that. Moving on."
Yeah.
She's clearly moving up in the world, and Beatty is fuming.
Yeah, you get all over the world, don't you? You're never at home. You're always travelling.
Yeah.
I'm the star of the show. Why am I not travelling? Anyway, moving on. Getting away from your lovely figure-hugging green dress. And very easy on the eye for men of a straight persuasion. But the talent has been dialed down somewhat, particularly when it comes to introducing the guests. And she's reading...
But again, you know there are zero rehearsals at this. There's no stage management, there's no rehearsals. She's told who they are 30 seconds before they rock up on the steps. She's like, "There, do that." This is why she's trying to get work in America.
Maybe Sue Tai was the director. Just read exactly what we've said 30 seconds earlier, only slightly worse.
I like the way when Derek's talking to the contestants and she's bringing them across, and clearly they've got to stand on a designated mark.
Yeah.
She will just talk over what Derek's saying and go, "Just stand there, make sure you stand there."
Yep.
A mouth flapping the whole time Derek's talking.
Again, that wouldn't matter if everyone was mic'd up, but there's one condenser mic in the middle of the room, that's it.
Well, no, there's those two mics that look like dealy boppers
that are
nailed into the desk.
No, they're dummy things. They're not live.
Yeah, clearly. When they click record or broadcast, everyone in the gallery fucks off on the piss.
Like, so you know that the floor manager is the one operating the camera, and the sound engineer is the one quickly running around to the booth to press down play and record at the same time.
Yes. And then when they're not doing that, they're pushing the plastic door that separates them in the booth when they're sat there.
Yes.
As if they're on the shitter.
Yes. Yeah, the closing credits say that this is produced by Derek Beatty, and I think it's very decent of him to take responsibility for that.
Absolutely it is. What's with those sketches at the end when the credits go up? What were they about?
I don't know. Again,
they look sinister.
It's a way of keeping the visuals moving without having to animate or film anything. It's just fading in and out of Brian's lad in production. Yeah, his boy does art. Get him to do some drawings.
Was it him? Because I thought it was Helen Keller.
They're not going to be appearing on Take Heart, are they? I would guess that somewhere those drawings still exist, and I want to know where. Yeah. I don't want them. I just want to know where they are.
You do want them, don't you?
Well, all the drawings were far more attractive than any of the genetic mutants were that appeared on the actual programme.
Bear in mind, they're based in Carlisle. They've got someone from sort of the southwest coast of Scotland, someone from Gateshead, and someone from the Lake District. Their travel budget for the contestants is about 20 quid. If someone applies from London, they're like, nah.
So, given the region that it was filmed in, have they all been sent to Windscale or somewhere first for a holiday in the nuclear sun?
This was the only nationally syndicated programme that Border made. Are you surprised?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
There we go.
There we go.
Goodness me. Well, there we go. Mr. and Mrs. I'm exhausted after that, I really am. Let's see what we thought. Simon, how many pegs would you like to clip on the back of Susan Cuff's dress?
I'm not sure how many would fit on the back of her dress, to be honest, because it was fairly scanty. But for all we ripped the piss out of this, I was vaguely entertained for a while. I'm going to give it a 3.
That's fair. Blackout.
Well, Mr. and Mrs. is what I class as iconic level game show entertainment of its era. And although younger me was hardly a super fan, I do remember it being better than this. But what I've watched is claustrophobic, ramshackle, amateurish, and there's no way on God's clean earth that production budget is going to stretch to $1,000 if someone hits the jackpot. 3 out of 9.
Fair. Mr. Moss?
The only redeeming feature about this was Susan Cuff. And even her talent level, it was eclipsed by the dress and the hair. I was just transfixed by the hair. I've got a real thing about that late 70s hairdo on a woman. It just, even now. The rest
of it... More detail than we need.
She was beautiful. Talentless, but beautiful. The rest of it was... it was like somebody had pulled a load of old things out of a school props cupboard and said, film that, with a JVC VHS camera. It was awful. It was 24 of the longest minutes of my life. 2.
Fair enough. Oh.
Dr. Velvet, are you going to raise the bar here?
Television perfection, 9.
What?
Be nice to each other.
You must be fucking joking.
If these were released on DVD, I'd buy the box set. Bring it. The question on every one of Derek Beatty's cards that he's still writing on while the camera's on him is, how many steps would it take you to go up and down on, just like Winnie did, and do the hokey cokey on?
It's been a long journey. I can do it in 4. Derek Beatty appeared in 1982's celeb vehicle prototype Famous Family Fortunes, playing against Nicholas Parsons, who kept his poker face intact in the comic strips Mr. Jolly Lives Next Door, with Peter Cook, who starred in 1969's The Bed-Sitting Room alongside Roy Kinnear, who reminisced in the Stories About Personalities episode of ITV's anecdotal chat shows Tell Me Another, with Peggy Mount.
Tell her there's still a draft in this room.
Worth it. Worth it.
We did it. Dr. Exton, how many steps?
Well, I can leap up that mountain in 3. Derek Beatty cropped up in 321's Christmas pantomime episode in the company of Sheila Steerful, who was in 1967's Just Like a Woman next to Miriam Carlin,
King hell,
who spun a yarn on The Very Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Theatre episode of Tell Me Another, alongside Peggy Mount.
Oh, Katie looks after herself.
Superbly done.
I cannot imagine what would have to happen to the cow to replicate that noise.
Before the next recording session, gentlemen, I'm going to melt that fucking thing down.
Oh, what about you, Mr. Moss?
I'm going to wave my bell end at you and erase those master tapes in 2. Derek Beatty appeared in a 1988 episode of A Question of Entertainment under the command of one Tom O'Connor, who was on the Luck and Ambition in Their Success instalment of Tell Me Another with Peggy Mount.
Well, who do you think put it there? I found it long before you did on the doorstep.
Very efficiently done.
Indeed.
Which leaves only Dr. Velvet.
Not that I want to show off, but I can do this in 1.
Go on.
Derek Beatty was on a 1979 edition of Tell Me Another, spouting stories about confusing one star with another in show business with
Peggy Mount. I beg your pardon.
We got there in the end.
Marvellous. Right, that wraps that one up. Time for your competition question now. And, of course, it refers to the episode we've just watched. So, in this episode of Mr. and Mrs., host Derek Beatty is wearing a beautifully tailored suit of slate grey. And, as it's 1979, part of that suit is comprised of a pair of dashing, flared slacks. The question is, what measurement of flare are the slacks? Are they 19-inch? 22-inch? Or 27-inch flares?
You know that 19-inch slack was nickname in the studio, right?
Another one for the Christmas tape.
I'll compose myself and mute my own mic at this point.
Brilliant. Okay.
It's like in class where you just can't stop fucking giggling, isn't it?
Fucking hell. Oh, quote of the weekend. Well done, Black House.
Right.
Okay.
There you go. Next bit. All right. And that is your question. While you research that, Blackout's got your socials.
Yes, thanks once again for being with us. If you'd like to get in touch, you can email peggymountpod@gmail.com, or we are Peggy Mount Pod on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. 5-star ratings are always welcome on Spotify, iTunes or wherever you listen to us. Don't forget to go to peggymountpod.com to check out the show notes for this and all of our other episodes.
It's as simple as that. It really is. Gracious thanks once again to our guests Simon Exton and Ken Moss from the Exton Moss Experiment podcast.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Where can our listener find you online, and what audio excitement is coming their way this summer?
Oh, it takes quite a lot to make me laugh like that these days, but you fucking slaved me with that.
I've just looked up and seen quite how broken Ken looks.
Thank you very much for having us on board, gentlemen. We are at Exton Moss on Twitter. We're on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, all the usuals. Look us up. We are very much like the Peggy Mount Boys, only slightly less polished and more heavily refreshed. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on board, gentlemen. Thank you for asking us back.
It's our pleasure to have you, gentlemen. All right, then. Thank you for listening. We'll be back very soon with more of the same, only different. Until then, keep
pegging. The Peggy Mount Calamity Hour is a free podcast from iPool Media, which holds production copyright. Opinions and recollections expressed are not to be taken as fact. The title and credit music is by Dr. Velvet. Audio segments from television programs are presented for review and informational purposes only under fair use, and no ownership of these is claimed or implied by this show. For more information, visit peggymountpod.com.
Thanks as ever to Dr. Velvet and Blackout for another fantastic recording. And if you're unfamiliar with their work, do look them up and give the Peggy Mount Calamity Hour a spin. You won't regret it. Next time, they come and pay us a visit at Podcasting House to watch Murder on the Moon, a made-for-TV film that's so bad it can't even make up its mind what it's called. Until then, thanks as always for giving up your time to listen to us. We'll be back soon. Ta-ta. The Exton Moss Experiment featured Simon Exton and Ken Moss. All featured soundtracks are the property of their respective producers, and no infringement of copyright is intended. Title music was performed by the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and the programme was produced by Maverick Productions. For more information, please visit maverickproductionsuk.blogspot.com or find us on social media.